Hey, we got another great Ninja Turtle review for you today. We got our Ninja Turtle Secret of the Ooze box set from NECA, finally came. Although we saw a couple weeks ago, NECA offered these guys up as 2-packs when their vault sale or whatever it was called. But this is the box set featuring all 4, similar to what they did with the issuance of the first figures with the also VHS box set of the first movie. These guys are going to look a little different than those first ones, so we'll show you some comparisons side to side. This thing's a little bit large, so I can't really give you any close-ups of the box just because it's going to fit out of frame. But you can see just the box art from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 movie, essentially, so nothing different there. On the side, you're going to have some more product features of the shots of the guy standing up. On the back, you get that great opening scene jump, almost. It's kind of cut out and condensed, but you can see basically when they're in that little underground shopping mall section doing that jump. And of course, you get some shots of the characters here with the different accessories. And then, of course, opening it up, opens like a VHS slipcase too, which is really cool. You can see their figures here in the plastic window box, essentially, and then on the back, a couple more of those action scene shots of all the characters. So why don't we crack this open and start looking at all these great accessories and then give you a nice side-by-side of these turtles with their 1990 counterparts. All right, so we get our giant figure tray out here. If you're noticed in the background, you can see it's the sewer layer that they had from the second film, so it's kind of cool that they threw that in there. So basically just holding these guys in, just a little plastic what do you call those straps over there, and we just kind of cut them. Didn't want to struggle with this because it's going to make a lot of noise, so I just kind of popped them out. But we got our fearless leader here, looking pretty good, and he's got his nice little katana holders here as well. So we'll give you a close-up of this with his swords. And you can see the nice coloring they have on it, the facial expression. And immediately I noticed about all of these guys is they did away with the alternative headbands, which was kind of annoying as much as it was cool to have various different headband sculpts. That way you could put it to the side or over the shoulders. I'd prefer not to have to struggle with that. And it's just another thing that could break or you'd have to worry about replacing or dealing with. So that's kind of cool that there was none of those in this, just the one for each character. So we have our Leonardo here and looking pretty good. I'll just set him off to the side. We have Donatello, again, looking really great here with his new coloring for the Secret of the Ooze, and we'll show you the 90 version as well so you can see the contrast between the two. He's got a nice little smirk on his face, of course, looking pretty good with his bow. And on the back, they have this cloth sort of, what do we call it here, a holder or holster for the bow on the shelf, so that's pretty neat. And then of course they come with alternate accessories as well. As we saw in the movie, Donatello had in the opening scene, he had this little foam bat that he used to hit the guy when he was pretending to be the bobble at the beginning of the film. So that's great. In addition to his bow, he also has the little bobble hit there. Leonardo comes with a fire extinguisher. I'll call that his alternative accessory. At the end of the movie, when they're using it on Tokka and Razar, they use these to accelerate the mutagen. So it only comes with one, although both Donatello and Leonardo had one at the end of the movie, which is kind of great because it's also covered by the Tokka Razar 2-pack, where there's another fire extinguisher. So you could have one accessory for each turtle and fully live out that scene. So that was kind of clever that NECA included it in this set, and then it comes with the previous released Tokka and Razar. So in addition to that, Leo and Donatello come with 2 mutagen canisters. Well, the whole set does. One's full and one's empty. So you could have both that depleted look and full look from that scene where they were depleting the canisters in the lab scene at the beginning of the film. There's also this odd forearm that's included in here. It doesn't seem like it's specific to any one character. It looks like it could be for anybody. So I don't know if this is meant to switch anything out. I don't see why it would be. I mean, it's very basic. I guess in the event that you were to break a wrist or get a hand peg stuck in there, maybe it's a backup, but I don't see any reason that you would really need this. It doesn't change like the dynamic of the figure or the angle at which the forearm is on there. So I don't get why it's included, but it is included. So if you needed it, you could toss it in there. But that is Leo and Donnie. and I'm going to now give you guys a look at Ralph and Mikey. All right, taking a look at Mikey. Looking great. He's got that Mikey smile on him. He's got his holsters on the side here too for the nunchucks. So you can see up close all that great detail on the shell, all that great detail on the bodysuit there. And of course, looking great with those nunchucks. He also comes with his cold cut combat cold cuts, which is really cool that they included these as well. This again was from the beginning of the film, and these, you know, distinctly do not look like nunchuck. They look like little sausages with the string in between. I'll give you a close-up shot of these as well. But you get two sets of cold cut combat cold cuts. That is very hard to say for some reason. Combat cold cuts, and then of course you get the nunchucks as well. So he comes with everything he should be coming with, and then in addition to that, he gets well, they all get pizza. That seems to be throughout all the sets. I mean, what's a Ninja Turtle without pizza? So you get 4 chewed pizza slices with pepperoni, of course, and then you get 1 whole pizza slice with a hole in it here. So I'm going to call this Raphael's bonus accessory, because you would then put the side through it, and it's got the cheese melting down the side. So you could do that with the pizza. Speaking of which, the last turtle we have here is Raphael, of course. The stern, sullen-looking guy. He's got this nice grimacing growl on him, as you can see up close here, with the headband posed off slightly to the side to give it a little bit of a windblown look on it. And of course, he's got his side holsters as well on his belt. One thing I really like about the headbands, although they're molded onto the characters, they got a little depth there. You could see a little spacing between the eyes and the headband, so it doesn't look like it's all one piece. And it might be a second layering glued on top, but it's definitely not just one painted piece on there, which I really like. They have a lot of detail in the turtles here, with the padding on the legs and the belt, and even the little coloration of the snaps on the buckles on the belt. You could see some battle damage on Raphael's shell, in particular the slashes here on the back. So it's a nice level of detail to include with the character. And like I said, the only bonus accessory that seems unique to Raphael is this slice of pizza, which you could then put on top of one of these sai as he were to impale it and eat it or hold it or something like that. But that's really it. And then lastly, they have that pizza box. I've also seen pizza boxes included with them. They're typically cardboard, and they're not anything logoed on it. They're generic. Even the one that were Domino's had something resembling Domino's, but it couldn't be called Domino's. I think it comes down to licensing. We'll see what they do with Kino. Believe he had the Domino's logo. I can't recall, or was it? I'm pretty sure it was Domino's at the time. On his cart and stuff like that. So we'll see, because I know it comes with the bike and with a bag of pizza for delivery. The only other thing these characters always come with is alternative hands. They have 2 sets of hands with each character, but I think you could really use them with any of the 4 characters, because Raphael has these pointing hands, Michelangelo has the thumbs up hand, and the other guys just have alternative hands where they're just open or pointing. But because of the skin tone being the same for each character, I really think you could just sub these out into any character you wanted. So, as always, I like to do the hand test just to make sure it's not impossible to do. And I've had hit or miss with NECA. I've had them sort of break at their wrist joint, because the way they have their joint is it's sort of inside this central pivoting thing here. And if you pull it at the wrong angle, this little brace here could actually pop out, and then you can't securely put it back in. So what I learned to do is sort of twist as you pull in order to get a good, there we go, good bit of force without snapping that central joint. And then twist it again as you're putting back in, because you're trying to wear the joint a little bit to get it in. And thumbs up, it worked. No problems on this guy. So a little bit trickier on the joints, but you can make it happen. I'm just not a fan of doing it too often, because these things wear down and they break, and then you have a hand that no longer works unless you glue it into place. But oddly enough, they included this forearm. I don't want to try taking the forearm off, but I imagine it's going to be the same, where you would be able to twist and pull it off this elbow joint. And the only thing I could think of they did that is in case one of these wrists break, then you could just swap out the forearm in order to put a new arm into it. So that was a nice thought to include that. but in the end, it's not really necessary if you don't plan on switching these hands all the time. I'm good with just having weapon holding hands and then being able to work through that, because that's basically what you're going to do with your turtles, unless you like to have them in all sorts of other scenarios where they're just hanging out or something like that. But it's an option, and you definitely can do that with all the different expressions here. But that is our turtle line here. This was a great 4-pack. Excited to finally have these, a little variety in the turtle movie line. So let me show you guys some comparisons side by side with the 1990s turtles, and then we'll do a little wrap up. So here we have our side by sides with Leonardo. You can tell the difference between the 90 and the Secret of the Ooze, the 92 movie suits. Secret of the Ooze, a little bit lighter in the skin tone, and then of course the front shell piece around the chest is a little bit darker. Other than that, the facial sculpt they went with is a little bit different for Leo. You can see him smiling here as opposed to the more sullen look on the previous one. Headband is a different color tone, a lighter shade of blue. The face, I don't believe it's as wide. It's a little bit narrower than the original sculpt. And of course, those spots are a little bit more prominent on the newer suits from Secret of the Ooze, just because it's a lighter skin tone. Lastly, you can notice the elbow padding is a little bit darker than the padding on the original 90 film, but most of the rest of the character is very similar. With Donnie, very similar differences. You have of course, the skin tone differences and the shell differences. This one has a newly retooled holster for the bow. You can see in the front here, riding higher on the original, completely narrower and riding lower on the newer version from Secret of the Ooze. Pad coloring a little bit different there, but I believe they're still relatively the same sculpt. Of course, they changed that headband to make it a little lighter, but also not the removable backing to it. And the shelling, you can see the color schemes a little bit different as well. And the spots are much more prevalent on the newer Donnie than they were on the first movie Donnie. But other than that, very similar. Of course, again, the head sculpts were different, so you could see the beak design on the turtle a little bit different on the newer one than the older one. But pretty close. It's just mostly coloring and a couple of changes between the two. Mikey loves being a turtle, so he always looks great, but he has the most drastic retooling of all the characters. You can see he has a completely new belt. The holsters are added on his as opposed to the original version. The shell is all retooled. You can see that curvature on the 90 version on the left versus the 92 version on the right with the straight shell. Coloring scheme different on it as well, a little bit larger in terms of its little individual shapes on it. Of course, the color scheme on Mikey drastically different as well. You can see much more of the spots because of the lighter color of the skin tone. And the headband different, and the facial expression, even more excited about being a turtle than he was originally. You can see his eyes bulge out a little bit, they just kind of pop. So a lot of retooling on this figure, much more so than we noticed in the other ones. Looking at Raphael, I mean, you could say he's a little too Raph. He doesn't change much in terms of his expression. He doesn't change much in terms of his tooling here. Of course, the front is different because of that new color scheme and shape. The weapons are the same, the expression's almost the same, the head's just a little bit of a different mold, which makes it look slightly different. The shell is exactly the same shell, all the way down to the scratch marks on it. Other than just the lighter color scheme, this is very, very similar to the 90 release of Raph, just with the exception of the more prominent application of the spots. Because of the lighter skin, they kind of come through, although the originals did have spots. But again, that just different facial sculpt kind of makes him look a little bit different. Between that and the shelling, he's still pretty much the same figure. And that's our Fearsome Foursome. Really great set, really excited about this. Totally worth it, considering it also arrived several months early. We weren't expecting this into the spring, so it was a nice, slightly post-Christmas surprise, but we got it before the end of the year, so no complaints. Like these guys, like the new design with the headband, so we don't have to worry about switching them out for alternative looks, although we just keep ours with the ones they came with on default anyway, but it's just one less piece you have to worry about breaking off. A little bit of an interesting inclusion of that forearm, but if NECA's just being thinking forward about what could potentially happen in terms of things breaking, that's great. Again, not big on the alternative hands, but some people like switching out hands. I just think it's another point of failure in a figure and always something to worry about. But altogether, I think this is a great set. They're going to pair well with that Ultimate Shredder that we showed you guys already from Secret of the Ooze, so you can check out that video if you want to see our look at him. We have more Secret of the Ooze characters on the way. Of course, we're going to show you the reissue of Tokon Rezar. Exactly the same as the first issuance of them, but we'll give you guys a nice up-close look at them. There's also Secret of the Ooze accessories that just came out, so we'll show you guys that pack as well. That's pretty cool. Of course, you just saw the announcement of Kino finally coming to the line, and he'll be coming with his little motor scooter with his pizza delivery system, so that's exciting as well. Beyond that, I think they have a good swathe of the characters covered. They would have to do a new April because the actress changed over in that film. There was no Casey Jones in that, and I'm not sure if Splinter was all that different from the design of the first movie. Maybe he was, but they could always do a Secret of the Ooze Splinter. Maybe give us an Ultimate Splinter and give us some different accessories with him. But this was a pretty great design. I appreciate the characters, the attention to detail here on the new rubber suits that they have for this film. And definitely worth picking up if you still can't. This set sold out. It was up for a while for pre-order, so it did not sell out immediately. It ran the full length of time for people to get pre-orders in. So if you missed out on one, it wasn't because you couldn't buy one, it was because you decided not to buy one. And then they offered it again around a couple of weeks before Christmas time for people to order the 2-packs, not the VHS set. So right now you're either going to have to hope they open that up again, or you're going to try to find it in the secondary market, which we all know for Turtles is kind of crazy depending on the character. So they're totally worth it if you're a Turtles movie fan, like I am. Just the first two. I don't think I'd buy characters from the third one. Wasn't a huge fan of that one. Going back in time, they could have done so much better than feudal Japan in terms of all the different time periods they could have went to a la the video game. But this is your set. Check it out. Totally worth it in my opinion. We'll have a look, like I said, at some more Secret of the Ooze NECA products. So stay tuned for that and come back and check out some other reviews we got coming up as well. So as always, like, subscribe, and follow, and we will see you guys next time.